A tiara can be just jewelry, or it can be a message. And this one? This one felt like a whisper that echoed across the entire royal family. When the Princess of Wales stepped out wearing the Indian circlet tiara, royal watchers didn't just admire the sparkle, they paused. Because that choice? It wasn't expected. In fact, many believed this particular piece should have remained closely tied to Queen Camilla. So what changed? And more importantly, what does it mean? Before we dive in, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next royal deep dive. Because moments like this, they don't happen by accident. Now, let's get into it. The appearance itself was subtle. No dramatic announcement, no explanation, just a quiet entrance, and a very loud accessory. The Indian circlet tiara is not one of those pieces that casually rotates through the royal jewelry vault. It carries weight, history, association, and perhaps most importantly, expectation. Traditionally, certain tiaras become closely linked with specific senior royals, forming an unspoken boundary. And for many observers, this particular tiara sat firmly within Queen Camilla's orbit, which is why seeing it on the Princess of Wales felt different, not wrong, not improper, just deliberate. And here's where things get interesting, because in the royal family, nothing is ever just fashion. Every brooch, every color, every gemstone, it all speaks, sometimes softly, sometimes strategically, and sometimes symbolically. So when Catherine chose this tiara, it raised a quiet but compelling question. Was this simply a stylistic decision, or a subtle signal of evolving roles behind palace walls? Let's rewind for a second. The Indian circlet tiara is one of those pieces that doesn't make frequent appearances. It's rare, reserved, almost elusive. And that rarity is part of what gives it power. Unlike more commonly seen tiaras, this one hasn't been overexposed. It hasn't been diluted by repetition. When it appears, it matters. And historically, its appearances have been tied to very specific figures and moments. That's why this particular outing caught so many people off guard, because it disrupted an unspoken pattern. Now, disruption in the royal family isn't always loud. In fact, it's usually the opposite. It's quiet, controlled, measured. And that's exactly what made this moment so compelling. There was no statement released, no clarification offered, just a visual and a lot of interpretation. Some royal insiders might say this was simply a case of access. After all, the royal collection is technically shared. But others? They're reading between the lines. Because access isn't random, it's curated. And when something this specific shifts hands, even temporarily, it can hint at something deeper. A recalibration, a subtle shift in positioning, a quiet acknowledgement of growing influence. And let's talk about timing, because timing, in royal terms, is everything. This wasn't just any appearance. It came at a moment when the Princess of Wales has increasingly stepped into a more prominent, assured role. Her public presence has sharpened, her engagements have carried more weight, and her image, more polished than ever. So placing this tiara into that narrative doesn't feel accidental. It feels aligned. But here's where we need to tread carefully. Speculation can easily spiral, so let's keep it grounded. There's no official indication of conflict, rivalry, or tension between Catherine and Camilla. In fact, publicly, the relationship appears respectful and stable. However, royal dynamics aren't just about personal relationships, they're about hierarchy, symbolism, and perception. And perception is everything. So what could this moment be signaling? One possibility is evolution. The monarchy is always adapting, even when it seems still. As roles shift and generations transition, so too do the visual markers of status. A tiara, in this context, becomes more than decoration. It becomes a reflection of where someone stands within the structure. Another possibility? Trust. Lending or assigning a piece like the Indian circlet tiara could be interpreted as a sign of confidence, a recognition of the Princess of Wales's growing centrality within the monarchy's future, not replacing anyone, not overshadowing, but stepping forward. And then there's the boldest interpretation, the one people whisper but rarely say out loud. Could this be a subtle rebalancing of influence? A quiet nod to the next era? It's a big question, and one that doesn't come with a clear answer. But the fact that it's being asked at all says something. Because here's the truth. Royal watchers notice everything. The smallest details become the biggest stories. And when something breaks even the faintest hint of tradition, it creates a ripple. This tiara moment? It wasn't a wave, it was a ripple. But ripples, over time, can reshape the surface. What makes Catherine particularly fascinating in all of this is her consistency. She rarely makes bold, overt statements. Her approach is refined, controlled, intentional, which is exactly why moments like this stand out. Because when she does step slightly outside expectation, it feels meaningful. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time royal jewelry has sparked conversation. Throughout history, tiaras have been used to signal alliances, transitions, and even subtle shifts in favor. They're part of a visual language that the monarchy has perfected over centuries. And once you start seeing that language, you can't unsee it. So, was this a quiet power move? Maybe. Was it simply a practical choice from a shared collection? Possibly. Or was it something in between? A carefully considered decision that balanced tradition with evolution? That might be the most compelling answer of all. Because the modern monarchy walks a fine line. It honors the past while adapting to the present. And sometimes, that balance shows up in the smallest, most glittering details. One thing is certain, this moment got people talking, and in a world where attention is currency, that matters. Whether intentional or not, the Princess of Wales wearing the Indian circlet tiara created a narrative. A question, a sense of intrigue that lingers long after the event itself. And maybe that's the real takeaway. Not the tiara itself, but what it represents. A shift you can't quite define. A message you can't quite prove, but something you can definitely feel. So next time you see a royal appearance, look closer. Because sometimes the most powerful statements aren't spoken, they're worn.